Yeah, and then Jabba slimed over Leia. It was gross. But she pulled through. Welcome back, fellow Star Pilots, to another edition of NYC X-Wing. My name is Jaws, and you will remember our special guest commentator today from our last two finals videos. It is Mike Kaufman. How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing all right. What's up, everybody?
So today we have our finals video from the 20-sided store tournament in Brooklyn, New York on January 25th, 2015. We had 13 teams, a good turnout, right, man?
It's been really busy in New York recently. Actually.
Yeah, it's really great to see so many people coming out and participating in the game. We even saw some new faces that from like that wanting to learn the game, you know, and really wanting to get into the competitive sort of meta, not just playing the game for fun, you know, actually being competitive, you know, which is great. We've had at least I think 2 people that were interested that came in. It was great, you know. So a little update on our meta. We haven't really gotten past the 2 ship builds, I guess. We did have how many was it?
We had about 4. I would say at least 4 2-ship builds.
4 2-ship builds, unfortunately, but we are pulling through that. I think. I think we're getting better. I hope, you know. So today we have in our finals video a 2-ship build, unfortunately, but it is against a 5-ship build, and that 5-ship build, ladies and gentlemen, is from Cal Nuvos. You might remember him as our regular commentator for these videos. He actually made it to the finals of this tournament, so I think he would he wouldn't really want to commentate on his own videos, so we're just going to do it for him here. Mike's gonna step in, and we'll have some fun here today, guys. Cal is running Rear Admiral Shirano with Veteran Instincts and Engine Upgrade, and he's running that with a mini swarm of all Academy pilots. So he's run this ship several times in the past, and he does seem to like it a lot. He's gotten really good with it, as you can probably surmise here from him being in the finals. So it's a kind of simple little almost a vanilla Shiri here, and he like I said had some success with it. So on the other side,
So on the other side we have Brian Lucero, and Brian is flying 2 ships. He's actually running Kath Scarlet in her Imperial Fire Spray, with Marksmanship as the EPT, Tactician on crew, and then filling it out with the usual Imperial list finisher. This is Captain Oiken and his Decimator, running Predator, the Queen of Imperial Intelligence, Isani Isard, Luke Skywalker's future wife, Mara Jade, and, of course, Engine Upgrade, the savior of big ships around the meta.
Absolutely, Engine Upgrade. Can't get enough of it, and it's just so valuable, and it's great to have. And so, ladies and gentlemen, start your engine upgrades. Here we go with our asteroid placement here. I'm sure we have a very open board from the placement of this. Now this is something that I haven't seen a lot of. It's just a big U of asteroids, you know. What do you think about the asteroid placement?
Well,
It's advantageous, I think, to both lists in their own respects, sure.
Yeah, I mean, the way Cal is setting up ties, it looks like he's planning to just fly them straight into the middle of the board, and then kind of they can veer off in either direction depending on where Brian's going to place his ships. The ties are fairly maneuverable. And with a group this small, you don't really mind being in that. You know, this is not a 7 or 8 tie rectangle that really doesn't want to be there. So we'll see how Brian sets up and approaches this asteroids.
APs are down, and we have both Oinkin and Kath setting down before Shiri. Yep. So what do you think about the resurgence that we saw of the fire spray this week? We saw at least 4 fire sprays, which was great. One list had 2 of them. So it was fun to see bounty hunters come back and place a foothold here for the Empire.
Yeah, I did actually play against one of the two bounty hunter lists. I think the fire spray is in a weird place right now since most people view the Decimator as a superior option. It may have no agility, but the turret does actually really make a big difference. Any player who plays a high agility dodging ship, a Soontir or an Echo or Whisper, will not have much trouble dodging those fire sprays. They are fairly slow if they're not engine upgraded, and they have huge blind spots. Mm-hmm. So we'll see if Scum and their upgrades and their different pilots make the fire spray come back. I imagine that will be the case.
Yes, sure. I really hope that's the case because it's just a beautiful ship to see out there on the board, and it deserves to be competitive. I think so.
Yeah, Boba Fett being a lot of our fanboys' favorite characters. So looks like they're flipping dials over now and sending out this group of Academy pilots.
Let's see what Cal does here. Cal does take pride in his preparation and his pinwheel formation here, and he has practiced it and really drawn out schematics to the point where you just have to respect it. And he's really involved with his Academy pilots. They're going to soon be Obsidians at least, if not more. They might be commended to the Black Squadron, at some point. Run a few Predators on them, I've always thought that'd be a fun list, running some Predators on some Black Squadrons. And, it seems like a fun build. I don't know how competitively viable it would be, but it'd just be fun to have a ton of friggin' Predators on a TIE Fighters,
I think Black Squadron shows up mostly for its draw their fire capabilities.
Oh, yeah, that too.
So,
or the Wingman.
Yeah, or Wingman. So Cal's kind of just moved the ties up. You saw his fancy kind of swinging in this back left tie. Mm-hmm. If you watch his setup, he's usually measuring with the range rulers and things like that to make sure he gets a pretty perfect send-off for those academies. Mm-hmm. It doesn't last, of course.
How can it, yeah.
Once Oiken gets in there, but it does look great from the beginning of the game.
Yeah, so Oiken's ability, again, after executing a maneuver, each ship you are touching suffers 1 damage. So what do you think about that dynamic between Oiken wanting to get into range 1 to do some damage, and at the same time, denying his own ability to take actions without the Dauntless card? So we're not seeing Dauntless on Oiken here, so what do you think about that as far as like how viable that can be?
Yes, I think Oiken is a pretty exceptionally interesting pilot. He really adds a mechanic to the game that didn't exist before. Except there's a couple things about it. One thing is that when you first see him, you think, "Oh, I'm gonna slam right into this group of Academy pilots
tempting,
right here, and just crush some of them."
That might be the worst decision, though, because you're in range 1 and you do 1 damage. You have a good roll here, but then they're taking actions before you, and then you're on range 1 of 9 dice. So that's what does it for me. It's like how do you make it viable competitively and not take a bunch of damage and have your Decimator go down in like 3 turns? You know what I mean?
Yeah, so I think Oiken's best use is against the high pilot skill arc dodgers like Soontir or Whisper or something like that, where he can move first, do a free damage, not have to worry about that agility. Against TIE Fighters, not so much, and we'll see what happens here in the... So it looks like the first round is shooting, maybe?
First round is shooting, out? Oiken does have a shot here.
It does. Yeah.
On the AP. Is rolling 3 dice. Looks like...
one hit. It's going to Predator.
Predator for the AP, 2 rerolls. And it might be 3 hits against 3 evades. I don't see any damage being drawn, and no damage was drawn, so that was the end of that round. Sherry was out of range, so we're back to dials.
You can see he's continuing to move this group of Academy pilots up, and they're just going to go into a straight joust, it seems, with...
Yeah, he's positioning them in very much that fashion. So he's kind of using Oinkin's strategy against him, really. You think?
It seems like he has literally
kinda,
no fear of being
yeah,
rammed.
he is. He is willing to take that 1 damage to have 3 of his other ships within range 1, and I think that's what Cal's really hoping for here, really. And I can't say that's a bad position to be in for this little mini swarm here.
Yeah, and you can see, I mean, Shirno on the bottom of our screen is, creeping around. He's going to come around behind them and be really damaging, especially if he's not in the Fire Spray's arc, which there's a good chance he will not be on the next shot. So, we'll have to see where Oikin goes. And it looks like Kath is probably going to inch forward and in a jousting kind of way, and might not be the best thing to do.
But it's having those limitations of front and auxiliary. You really have to inch forward when you're facing so many ships. You don't want to get into range 1 and get shot down like it appears that Oinkin is going to do here, and you want to be able to get some shots off.
So it looks like Oikin's getting a little hungry, and he's going to start to eat one of the TIE fighters. So. It's going to take 1 damage.
1 damage is going to that front right AP.
And we mentioned the Dauntless title before. So the Dauntless title says that after you execute a maneuver that causes you to overlap a ship, you can perform a free action and then receive a stress token. So Oikin does not have that here. So he can't take a target lock or a focus to make sure that he aces one of those ties, because he's certainly not going to want to take the amount of damage that he's probably going to take this turn. And
on top of that, just no modified dice, basically. And that's tough with at least with Sheer you have the mini focus that you could take if you're happen to be in range 1, which you really don't ever want to be with him either, unless you're behind them, obviously. But it's sort of a tough position for Oinkin right now, with no modified dice and being in front of this mini swarm like in this fashion.
Cal looks like he spent his target lock to do probably 3 hits on Oikin, who's comes up blank on that 1 defense die, which is never worth counting on. So that's 3 shields off of Oikin on
3
the first
damage.
Shot. And so Kath looks like she's gonna, hopefully. Now, it looks like he's measuring range to the tie that was run into, which I actually don't know if I would have done that.
Would you have gone for the Shiri instead?
Well, no, the other ties is the question, because the other ties are going to shoot at Oikin, so that would be my only question. Looks like
But as far as range 3ing a tie, that's 4 dice against... I don't know. I didn't see what action that Kath took. Probably a focus.
It could have been marksmanship.
Or marksmanship, rather. Yeah,
it looks like it was. He did deal a crit to that TIE fighter.
Yep.
Okay, so now Oikin's gonna shoot one of the ties.
So that tactician as well. So that TIE fighter is now stressed.
Yeah, TIE fighters. I don't know. Stressing a TIE fighter is not always the worst thing when you have that many of them. It's kind of, who cares? Tactician is certainly more aims for those push the limit type ships, and especially
the phantoms.
Looks like Oikin didn't get the best roll out of his range 1.
Yeah, it's not bad as far as the idea behind tactician as a phantom counter, or in the example for Cal, in that his veteran instincts is his counter to a phantom as well. So these both have inherent phantom counters, which is great, and probably contributed to the fact that they're in these finals.
So here Oikin already lost a shield, took a damage, 2 more damage from another tie, and looks like nothing from the last tie. So he actually got off easy on that last shot. He could have taken a couple more damage.
I don't know about taking 7 damage in 1 round is easy, but when you're a decimator, I guess that's a thing.
And here comes the last one. Looks like that's the one on Kath, and no damage was done. Yep. So that was the first round of shooting, I think. Let's see what third. Yeah.
Yep. That was the first
And
round of
then,
shooting.
so what just triggered is the Mara Jade card. So Oiken is carrying Mara Jade around, who, when you, at the end of the combat phase, every ship within range 1 that does not have a stress token gets a stress token. And I have some strong opinions about Mara Jade, and I've actually used that card a few times and found that I don't like it. It does not allow you to double stress someone, which would be exceptional, because those ties can just clear it pretty easily or not care. But the other thing is it encourages you to be in range 1. And combined with Oiken's ability, this means you're going to take a ton of damage. So those 3 ties basically... Well, the ties actually only did 4 damage to Oiken, with Shirano doing 3 of that. It could have been much, much worse.
Yeah.
A Decimator does not want to be in range 1 of more than 1 ship at a time, at the most. And so Mara Jade may be kind of like a safety valve, but I would rather go with something like Rebel Captive, that just discourages people from shooting at you, especially those really dangerous phantoms and things like that.
And that can stack. So
yeah, and Rebel Captive, you can end up with a huge pile of stress if you're not clearing it every time.
Yeah.
So you see that the TIE fighters are just moving right past Oiken, not really worrying about him, except they get a bump there.
Now imagine if those abilities were reversed, and every ship and Oiken's ability was at range 1. Everyone gets 1 damage.
Oh
you know,
my God,
that would be ridiculous. Yeah. The anti-swarm, the uber anti-swarm.
Yeah, I think people thought Oiken might end up to be the anti-swarm ship, and he is just not. I actually think the Swarm is one of the best counters to any Decimator. There's just no Decimator build that handles a Phantom really well. As long as they have engine, they can last, and you're careful, but this wasn't quite a careful Oiken opening. So I think it's the weird combination of his ability, which sounds very aggressive, but I think is better as almost a defensive idea, where you scare people from not wanting to be near you. So Oiken, had a horrible accident and ended up strewn across the battlefield somehow, but his base is carrying on valiantly.
Sort of does reflect the opening round of shooting, and him ending up way over there.
Yeah, he's putting a target
blown away.
on Shirano.
So target on Shiri.
His Asani Isart is triggering on Oiken already, which is an exceptional card when you're not getting shot at by 4 ties at a time. Canceling 1 damage is just...
And he did get that evade token from Isan.
Yeah.
So that'll help keep him alive for a little bit longer.
And
this is going to be this is going to be a crash.
So it looks like, I would imagine Cal was planning for that. Most people who fly Academy pilots become very good blockers.
Absolutely agree, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a high pilot skill guy. I just don't have the mind for that. I've played Cal multiple times, and he is a very good blocker. He's a student of the Academy pilot, for sure.
Absolutely.
And Shirano comes in, he's not being blocked. He has avenues open. He can choose any action that he wants. This is exactly what you want for Cal.
Yeah, this asteroid placement leaves a lot of room for this mini swarm to move around, and for these big ships to move around as well. So, really, I forgot who was that said this, but if 2 people are looking for the same thing in asteroid placement, then they're both wrong. So
I like that idea. Yeah.
The idea that they both wanted an open board is really working against one of them, or it could work. It could have worked against both of them.
So Shirano knocked a couple shields off of Kath just now, so they're starting to wear away on the fire spray. It looks like this is Kath's shot. It has to be Kath's shot on one of the EPs. And that was evaded. Academy pilots are devastatingly hard to hit at times, especially when they're evading or when the dice come up good. They just can be really hard to kill.
Just last forever. Yep.
And so Oiken looks like he's got a pretty good shot over there. A couple hits and he's re-rolling the Predator. Let's see what Cal takes here. Yep, some damage being dealt to Academy.
2 hits. Yep.
Not enough, though. It's still there to block the next turn and be annoying as hell. And it's gonna shoot.
Doing its job. Yep.
And once they get damaged, you start taking those evades and putting them in front of people.
So it looks like the top right AP is taking the range 1 shot on Kath.
Yeah, and there go the shields. That is a shieldless fire spray, and now we get the back 2. We're going to take their range 2 shots.
Yep.
2 dice add up.
These APs are doing...
all the
seems
damage.
Like more damage than Sherry put together, yeah.
And he blanked the defense roll.
Oh.
So, let's see, Kath is down the 5 hole. And
looks like evaded, yeah.
I mean, 2 agility on a big ship is very nice. And with a focus token or recon specialist where you have focus for offense and defense, fire sprays are pretty hard to kill.
Yeah.
But being blocked like this makes those 2 dice a lot crappier, or a lot less efficient.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see how that plays even more ridiculously when the aggressor comes out with its 3 defense dice on a large base ship.
Oh, man.
That'll be pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's going to be fun.
So Cal is K-turning his APs behind the Kath.
Yeah, out of range 1 of Lincoln, so he didn't have to worry about that stress this time. The two in the back did, but...
I think they were already stressed, though, and didn't actually...
They might have cleared their stress, because I only see 1 stress
maybe.
around them, yeah.
Well, they can't take another from...
Oh, and on top of that, they couldn't take another one, that's right.
Because I believe he did banks with them that might have been 3 banks and didn't clear it.
Mm-hmm.
But either way, that's one of the weaknesses of Mara Jade, is that you can't really cripple a ship with stress. You can just kind of hamper them a little bit. Wow, it's going right for Kath.
Right for Kath, clearing the stress, making Mara Jade's really, especially against these highly agile ships, just ineffective, really.
Yeah.
They have so many options to clear that stress and really not hinder the strategy or effectiveness of that ship.
I think Mara Jade basically works as insurance against K-turns, since they won't be able to K-turn and be on you in the next turn. But
that's the idea.
A tie can still move pretty quickly with stress and take an evade action and face the wrong direction for a turn and not really care before resetting. Mm-hmm. So I just don't think it's that great of a card personally. But I like the idea of something like Tactician, which can be insane if you keep piling stress on someone. That's where you really cripple a ship.
Yeah, it might have been worth to have Tactician on there to be able to double stress, ships in 1 turn.
Yeah, and then the Decimator can take multiple Tacticians. And if you're willing to joust with it like Brian was, why not? Because he did have all of those ties in Arc at the beginning of the game. So look at this group of academies. Almost all of them just zeroed in on Kath. So we're going to see where Kath goes right about now, should be.
Yep, so Isani evade and a target lock stays on Shiri, and he took a focus.
Yeah, so he's piling up the tokens over there. And it looks like Kath is going to clear that furball there, which is a great position to be in with that rear arc.
Yeah, well, he's only 1 AP is going to have a shot now. And Shiri will as well.
And it looks like he's turning that card sideways over there, which I'm assuming he's triggering marksmanship.
He's tapping marksmanship, yeah. I always like to use a little marker, and I'm sure he did too, I think.
No, I don't think he was using a token. I think he was using the card only, yeah. The marksmanship is a weird card that I believe it came in the core set.
I think so, yeah.
And it's almost never used, since it basically, you're taking a slightly better offensive focus where you can get a crit from one of your eyeballs, but it doesn't work on defense.
Wide open, yeah.
Which a fire spray, I said already before, kind of likes to have for that 2 defense die roll. So, let's see what Shirno can do.
Yeah, I mean, as far as what the game developers had the idea with the cards included with the fire spray, for example, Recon Specialist.
Yeah.
they want the idea was to keep the bounty hunter alive, with the extra evade.
And it's got an evade icon
and the icon, on the action bar. It's a really survivable ship if you play it that way.
Yes.
So, and I love survivable ships.
Oh yeah,
I love to keep my ships alive
for
as long as possible.
That's where the meta is certainly going around the world, actually, with these Super 2 ships that just don't really die. Yeah. I think of one of the weaknesses of this fire spray build is the lack of an engine upgrade. I think Kath, you can't focus on her ability if you're using her right now. Her ability is very hard to trigger. This crit, if you cancel a crit, it causes stress. And I would rather have something like Predator or Lone Wolf and engine, so you can really run. But it looks like Kath managed to use that rear arc to ace a Academy pilot, which is the first ship off the board. So.
Oh wow! No, it wasn't. It was just a focus fire actually. That AP already had 2 damage on it.
Yeah, it did.
So,
but Kath's made sure with 4 dice out of that rear arc that you could get it. So this is a weird game for us because we've only seen 200-0 games
in our finals.
So it looks like as this game continues that it as long as Brian doesn't, if he goes on to win, it could be 200-0. But there's a chance that we're actually going to see both players destroy ships.
Yeah, it's a first for NYC X-Wing, as sad as that may sound. But as you mentioned earlier, these 2-ship builds are just meant to last a long time.
They are MOV builds for sure.
And sometimes it's just impossible to take even one down. So that hence the 200-0 games. But here we have hopefully a closer game for once, guys.
Looks like Cal's going to try and squeeze this Academy in behind Shirano.
It looks like he did it. Wow. Really didn't want to be in front of that asteroid for next round.
Yeah, he was going to barrel roll in one direction or the other.
Can't blame him.
The ties are certainly scattered at this point, and he's probably going to want to twist them all around so that then they can really zero in on probably Oiken. He's the one who will take the most damage from those Academy pilots, but we'll see what Cal does. And the last guy is probably going to come straight up the middle and clear his stress, ready for whatever he wants to do. And again, we have another down decimator. If you play with them on the table, you definitely know that they have to come off their bases a lot. They are huge, and they seem to collide with everything.
Absolutely.
Unless you do something like what Jaws does with his epic ship base or pegs, so that they stand way above everything else.
I think that's a neat idea. Yeah, actually, Cal suggested it, but
he doesn't do it.
Yeah, the thing is, he doesn't have any epic ships, so I believe he had asked me to. Oh, here we have a close move on that. Oh, he did go over that asteroid. Okay. So we're going to get action denial and roll for damage, and it is a hit.
Damage, which, not going to make Oiken happy right now.
Yep.
But one thing about Asani Isard is it will still happen, because the running over an asteroid doesn't stop Asani Isard from triggering at the beginning of the combat phase. So... that's one thing that's going to be nice. And he still has a target lock on Shiri that he's just not really
Shiri's still targeted, but still untouched. Shiri, in late game, without any damage, is just terrifying. That is not where I want to be in the late game of any match. So a K turn from Kath, trying to avoid that run off the board.
Yeah, I don't know about the... I'm not a fan of a K-turn with a fire spray unless you're running a HLC fire spray where you're actually looking for those front arc shots. I don't know if you'd want to run with that fire spray right now and try and maybe isolate TIE fighters or something. Force him, because what this is going to turn into is a second joust where Kath at this point crossed the board, turned around, and is coming back into the middle. And the chances that she will survive... are pretty low at this point, right? Like, that this ship will get through those two TIE fighters and Shirano and come out the other side and be able to do more.
Absolutely. Having the auxiliary arc is just something that you have to take advantage of at every opportunity, because there's just so much advantage to being able to take that evade action, especially when you have a low hull ship like Kath is right now at only 3 hull left.
3 hulls.
So it's imperative to be able to keep, especially if it's half your list, to be able to keep it alive. And knowing that you can shoot out of the back, you have to find some utility in that.
Yeah, and this is, he's denying himself an action by K-turning, essentially. But again, without engine upgrade, it's also difficult to manipulate the rear arc to get shots, which is actually the main reason I'm such a fan of it on a fire spray, being able to bank and then extend that bank so you actually catch someone with the rear arc that you weren't going to get before. It looks like they're kind of checking if this is a range 3 shot or not.
This is a range 3 from the top AP. The front AP, or sorry, the middle AP is out of range, and Oinkin has a range 2 shot on the low AP, the bottom AP.
Predator is great in this matchup with the APs for sure. It's pretty nice to be able to reroll 2 dice. It looks like at least 1 blank over there. So they flipped up
1 crit
on this academy. Yeah. Unfortunately, we can't read what they are. Some crits are actually very crippling to TIE fighters. Losing their white turns is particularly brutal. But it looks like there wasn't really any damage done to Brian's list, so everyone is kind of living to fight. Since actually,
round.
There were no shots on Kath in that turn, but this looks like there's not much Kath could do to avoid it here.
Yeah, this could be it for Kath. She can take the 1 green forward and take an evade action, but at that point, she's at range 1 of 2 APs. And even on top of that, the Shiri's probably going to make a good move towards Kath to try to take her down. So this could be it for Kath.
You know, if you look at the way that Cal set up his ties, I actually think it's almost perfect for a fire spray, because when I saw this board, the first thing I thought was you have to turn Kath away from those academies and get the rear arc on them, and then you have a tie that's just sitting right there where if Kath turns to the right, there's still going to be a range 1 shot from maybe 2 of them. So it's pretty much perfectly set up. You know, even if it was a different situation and Brian had engine upgrade and he had boost, there's really not many places for Kath to go where it's not going to get shot by at least 2 ships.
Yeah, imagine the Kath being able to... Well, if it wasn't stressed again. That's tough.
That's the K turn there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always difficult to
it's just the
options.
1 bank that's green, so even with a...
2 bank...
Even with a 1 bank and then the boost action, it would still be tough to get out of those firing arcs.
There's a good chance it'd be out of at least 1 TIE fighter at that point, but this looks like none of them, probably.
Yeah.
And you can see that
Yep.
Cal didn't even try to turn towards Oikin because he sees that Kath is so stuck, basically. And, you know, Oikin does have a lot more hull. And he can't quite evade the same way. I'm guessing that Brian just took the evade action.
Yeah, I'd hope so. Hopefully trying to get through this round to put some rear firing arc damage in the next round. But Shiri's taking a strong move, 1 bank left towards Kath and focusing all fire, it would appear, on Kath.
Yeah, this is the way that Shirano's been played in this game, very slowly, very just methodical, boosting when necessary for range purposes, but just never losing an action and just being in the place to do damage every time.
Right.
And
being
rarely
out
being
of,
out of
yeah.
Even against Oikin, just not really being in range to be shot very much, or not being an appetizing target at least. So it looks like there's some confusion about how much damage was being dealt to Kath and whether Kath was going to spend the evade or not. Would assume you would spend the evade.
Right, so 2 evades on...
And so a crit looks like it went
crit
through.
went through, so Kath is at 2 hull left.
Yeah, it'll just come down to dice at this point to keep Kath alive, and it's not really what you want to count on with 2 green dice.
The question is...
Can Kath get a tie off the board?
Yep.
Looks like he's pulling together his 3 hits that he's done.
And still no damage on Shirano.
Yeah.
That is just crazy.
And so
It's tough. These APs can pose such a huge challenge when they're rolling a lot of evades, man. They become 20 hull ships effectively.
Yeah. I think
It's ridiculous, man.
Seen at least one game where that happens. Looks like we can just roll the lovely 4 dice. It's going to eliminate that tie.
There we go.
Yeah. So it takes a little bit of heat off Kath since that tie had turned in towards her, but there's still 2 to fire. Looks like 2 hits there.
2 hits, range 1 from one of the APs. And 1 more damage goes through.
Yeah, which leaves Kath with 1 hull, and the last AP is going to try and finish it off.
Oh,
That's
taking a
nice.
focus. That looks like 3 hits. Oh, and a blank.
Yeah.
Blank roll from Kath. Kath is out. Ah! That's half a ship build. That's half a squad build, man. It's just so devastating when one of your ships goes down in a 2-ship build, man. It's hard to recover from that.
Yeah, and at this point, I think Cal doesn't even really care what his academies do, because Shirano with full shields, even lacking Asani Isard, will do enough damage to put Oiken away, especially with that crit ability, just crippling Oiken the whole time.
Yep. Just there's going to be a crit every time, even if Oiken is taking an evade action. There's a great chance that a crit is going to go through every round in the late game.
Yeah, Shirano has to be one of the best late game ships actually in the game. When you get down to 1 ship against 1, you just don't want to be dealing with Shirano. And no matter how many shields you have, eventually he's going through them.
And when Cal flies the Shirano just so perfectly out of the arcs of these ships and coming around behind or to the side and just making Shirano last, it becomes a very powerful ship.
Yeah, he certainly was almost looking for that joust in that beginning, so Shirano can just kind of sneak up behind and hit Kath, hit Oiken where no one's shooting at him at all, and he has nothing to worry about. He's an offensive player. You're not going to take focuses for defense. You want to target lock, re-roll, look for those crits with his, he turns a single eye into a crit. An amazing offensive ability.
So this might be a good lesson learned for all you Decimator competitors out there. Either if you're playing with or against, you either want that ship to last a long time into the late game, or you really want to take that thing down as fast as you can.
Yeah, I mean, if you watch the 3 videos actually that we've done, you will see great Decimator play in all 3 of them. In fact, the Decimator, no matter what happens here, a Decimator's on the winning side of all 3 games. So the Decimator's really shaken up the meta, and we don't even see Fat Han around very much anymore in our area. We see a lot of Shirano, though.
A lot of Shirano, a lot of different Decimators for sure.
And so I think Oiken just took a minor explosion crit and rolled another hit on himself.
Oof.
He looks like he's stacking.
He's hurting,
up.
man.
I
He's hurting.
believe 9 hull. I think Brian has it organized into 4, 4, and 1 over there. So he's looking at 3 hull left. Yeah, that's not long on a 0 agility ship. That's going to stay on the board. And so Oiken is Gonna take advantage of his Predator rerolls, looks like. Looks like he's spending his target lock on Shirano, which is a weird target to pick at this point in the game.
Yeah, this one. Well, he has to go down sometime. We have to try to take him down at some point,
well,
right?
You know, I mean, at least he can say Shirano was damaged. I'm surprised he didn't go for that crippled TIE fighter that's sitting in front of him. With the dual rerolls, there's a good chance you'll get one damage through and at least put another ship off the board and make that MOV look pretty, because at this point it doesn't look good for Brian.
Yeah, this is going to be tough to pull off.
And you can see that Cal doesn't care if this TIE fighter ever shoots again. He's just going to evade and make him annoying to hit, at least. And TIE fighters are very good at that, running away and coming back to bite you when you least expect it, too. So Waken looks like he's kind of running for his life now.
Yeah, doing what he can to stay at range 3 to get that evade die.
And he seems to have cloaked at some point. And Shirano's not going to let this happen, which is a great move by Cal, just saying, I'm going to come right into range 1 and end this game as soon as possible.
No ship that small as a cloaking device. The new and improved Decimator.
Oh, Decimator's pretty big, right? It is larger than a TIE fighter.
Yeah.
Well, the TIE Phantom's small, so
true.
that line, I guess, they weren't thinking about they weren't thinking about Rebel Assault, you know,
some new
20
technology.
years in the future. That they were gonna make a ship that small. And it looks like a hit and a crit, or at least
hit. Yep.
And he's gonna spend that target lock to end the Awaken if he gets one more hit.
This could be it.
Yeah,
that's a hit.
That is it. So
and that's
that's 2 crits and 2 hits. Way more than enough to put Awaken away.
Bring Oinkin down, and that's it. Well, at least we had a way more balanced game. You know, it was damage on both sides. You know, at least as far as ships going down, it was good to see.
Yeah, we see. You know, I love Imperials, but it is fun to see TIE fighters get killed. That's what they're there for.
In this Imperial Civil War.
Yeah, this is our first mirror match,
yep.
Imperial versus Imperial, and it was almost guaranteed that day. We barely had any Rebel players at all.
That's true. So. That's true. Congrats to Cal for taking this week's tournament. Please check us out at NYC X-Wing and facebook.com/groups/NYC X-Wing on Facebook.
Thank you for having me, and as long as Cal keeps winning, I might end up here more often.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, you can't blame him, doesn't really want to talk about his own games that much.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see you out there again, though, in the NYC X-Wing finals videos.
What we have to see now is Jaws. So maybe Cal and I will do a video the day that
we'll see.
Jaws.
We'll see if that day ever comes again.
It seems that Jaws has become cursed. As soon as he started filming videos, this guy was in the final table for like months at a time. So.
I'm too worried about putting a great product out there for all you X-Wing players. It's fun to do this, and it's fun to do this with good people like Mike and Cal. So thanks for watching, everyone. Let us know what you think of our third rodeo. The store championships are coming up, so I hope everyone's getting prepared for that. The season is about to start. Ours will start on this Saturday at the Complete Strategist in Midtown Manhattan. So if you are in the NYC or greater New York area, please make it a point to show up this weekend.
Is it next weekend?
Oh, sorry, no, it's not this weekend. Yeah,
February 7th.
It is actually February 7th, Saturday, February 7th, in the good year of our Jaws 2015. So, thanks again, guys, for watching. Good luck out there in the store championships, and we hope to see you at regionals.
All right, thanks for listening, guys.